Well, hey, nice of you to join me. I'm just coming up to my thinking spot because I've been racking my brain lately to figure out if I should keep or kick, as our good friend Ulysses Grant Parm would say. Shout out to his channel. If I should keep my Canon V10, this guy. Let's talk about it. Canon released this stinky stinker of a camera last year, or if you're watching this in the future, 2023, to a mixed bag of reviews, which at the time I could understand, but I feel like at its current price point, it's not that bad of a camera. We will talk about those shortcomings in the near future here, but first, let's switch over to the V10. Actually, before we switch, let's talk about the ergonomics, which is one of the reasons that I purchased the camera in the first place. Now, I started photography and video work because I was a little skateboarder, hesher, or grom if you will. Both terms are not cool, I know. That dates me a bit, and so does this style of camera. Now, back in the day when I was skateboarding, the VX1000 that Beagle used was way over my price point and out of my skill set. And of course, the 1Ds that Atiba was rocking were also in that same boat. But what was available to us young bucks were those old flip cameras, and some would call them the pioneers of the vlogging style. Fast forward till now, Canon released the V10, which wet my whistle dearly. It reminds me of the cameras of yesteryear that I was filming my sponsor me videos and posting my MySpace profile pictures with, which is this. That said, it feels indeed like the specs and feature set of the V10 here, you like that transition, are from 15 years ago, much like a flip camera. So we switched over, as you can see. I'm gonna get off this roof because it is a little bit windy, and we'll continue our talk and walk to my room. So one thing that's nice about the V10, much like a GoPro, is that it's very portable and it's pocketable. Like, it can actually fit in your pocket. It's not just saying that in the name to get you to buy it, then you have to rig it out with brains, a cage, what have you. But unlike a GoPro, this has a 1-inch sensor and it has an f2.8 aperture, which means it should do okay-ish in low light. Well, we will just see as I walk down this ladder of death. So this is low light and we're maxed out. Of course, we are exposed properly using the 180-degree shutter rule. 4K, 23 frames per second, of course. I can't even tell if I'm in focus. I'm walking down this creaky ladder. Now again, I think low light is just okay on this camera. It's not leading class, because if we're talking about consumer 1-inch sensor vlogging style cameras, it has to be behind the ZV-1, even the G7X Mark III, which is a bit more money, and of course the DJI. But it should, in theory, beat out most smartphones until the lights go out. But I did not get the Canon V10 here for its low light abilities or lack thereof. No, if I needed that, I would have reached for the Sony ZV-1 or the ZV-1F, which is more in the same price realm as the V10 here. But what I was looking for was a user-friendly, compact, and intuitive camera that I could use for live streaming that had manual video settings. And the Canon V10 here should have been that. Notice I said past tense, and why is that? Because it simply didn't live stream for me, which is the reason why I got the Canon V10 in the first place. Now, before I get to my personal negatives, I want to say some good things about it. Again, the ergonomics are nice. They remind me of a flip camera of yesteryear. I like that it has its own built-in tripod. I think that could be a little bit better though. And it does what you'd expect of it. I mean, 4K at up to 24 frames per second. It does full HD, 60 frames per second. And that's really about it. Now again, you do have full manual video, but that's really where the Canon V10 here stops. It doesn't do much else beyond that. I should also mention that the built-in audio is pretty darn good for what it is. I think it punches a bit above its weight class, but everything else seems to be a little bit behind spec, especially compared to its competitors. Again, I don't want to be too picky because the Canon V10 is coming in at around $250 to $300 on today's market used. I mean, expect to fork over a little bit more change if you're looking for a brand new model, but at the price point, it does what it should be doing. I just wish it did a few things better. I mean, 2.7K or 60 frames per second in 2.7K would be nice, but Canon doesn't do things like that. What they do is full HD slow motion at 100 to 120 frames per second, as you would see in the G7X Mark III, so why nerf it here? Do vloggers not do slow-mo? I don't know. I do. I think displaying the exposure settings would be very, very useful and a no-brainer. It's not like vloggers are all going out straight automatic like Rambo when they're shooting. I just appreciate some kind of exposure meter at the bottom of my screen, and hell, a level would be cool because I don't like having crooked shots or nose up, nose down horizons when I could prevent it. I don't need a hero shot every time I'm vlogging. I thought Canon could add those two things and it wouldn't be too much to ask. But a few things that really bother me with the V10, which is a huge deal breaker when it comes to this camera for me. Number one, there's no raw photos or manual exposures for photos at all. Why? It's a 1-inch sensor with an f2.8 aperture. I'd like to use that. Furthermore, it still overheats in 4K much like every other Canon camera under the sun, so that's barely usable for more than 5 minutes. I don't like that you can't interchange batteries on this camera because that in itself means the V10 is not future-proof. When the battery dies, the camera dies with it. But the entire reason that I got the Canon V10 here was for its live streaming abilities. And I wanted to have the option to do it directly through the camera and use the Wi-Fi so I don't have to run any cords. And Canon advertised that this camera could do it. It just simply can't. Now, I tried for a very long time to get this to work on a professional gig, and it was a catastrophic failure. Every single time I got to the end, it gave me some weird error, I think 127 message, and if it wasn't that, it was like an error 79 message. Just random Canon terminology, jargon that doesn't help me at all, but there's no answers to it online. I apologize for moving around so much. I just wanted to show you this camera moving and properly exposed because I haven't seen a whole lot of people doing that when using the V10 here. I also had to switch over to Full HD because the Canon V10 overheated in 4K. So my final verdict. I love the V10. It's a cool concept of a camera, and if you're just looking for something to vlog with that can easily slip in your pocket and rig out, this could be a great camera. It has more or less everything you need. A built-in ND filter, a wide enough lens, 4K when you need it, kinda slow-mo-ish, full HD at 60 frames per second, a mic jack, and darn good audio already built in, better than most cameras at its price point. But if you're looking to use it for 4K at long intervals, live streaming directly without having to run cords, or if you're trying to do any intensive other type of prosumer shots, hell, even slow-mo, this isn't really a camera for you, nor is it for me. It was just more frustrating for me to see that the live streaming ability with the V10 that Canon advertised and pumped out so hard with this, and the G7X Mark III for that matter, which I had sold because I didn't like it, just simply doesn't work, and there's no real solution for it. I mean, maybe there is, I didn't look hard enough like many other times in my life, but it should be easy enough for a guy with sausage fingers and a mouth breather like me to use, and the V10 just isn't that. So that's it for now. The V10 might be for you, it's not for me, so I am selling it. Check out my eBay for that. Follow me at Matt's Notes on Instagram, sub to the channel. Thanks for watching, I love ya, see you later.